Welcome to Mac and Blue, where we introduce you to who is building Arizona, bringing you the people and businesses that shape the landscape around us. From economic development and developers, underwriters and lenders, architects and engineers, to the very builders and suppliers that bring it all together. Now let's join our hosts, Robert Johnson and JJ Levensky, aka Mac and Blue.
Welcome to Mac and Blue. I'm Robert Johnson, Vice President of Business Development with Torrey Contracting. This guy, J.J. Levinsky, President of Blue Wave General Contracting.
At least I'm the president of my own company this time, not the president of the podcast.
Oh, yes, that's what I started with last time. I said he was the president of Mac and Blue. Yeah, it was totally horrible last time. So.
It's okay. You're still here. I'm still here. We're good. And we have
Chris Estrada.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for being with us, man. Chris is the owner of Extreme Drywall Concepts.
Glad to be here, guys.
Friend and colleague of ours.
Yes. I've actually, now he's done work for you.
Oh, yeah.
I've been in his office. He and I did the same kind of thing. We still kind of do the same kind of thing, just in different areas. But yeah, welcome.
It's an honor, and I'm super excited for this.
Yeah.
So, Chris, for the audience's sake, we'll dive into all the other stuff, but just tell us a little bit about your background and the awesome story about you and your wife starting Extreme.
Yeah. So a little bit about me. Born right here in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm a native. Right?
Oh, really?
You're one of the 20. What is it? What's the new percentage now?
Yeah.
23%.
Yeah, I don't even know. So born here, rough childhood, and fast forward a little later, I end up getting married. And 2009, we're married, barely married, newly. My wife's pregnant. There's no work, and we say, hey, let's start the company.
No way.
Yeah. So
now, were you doing the work before? Were you a mechanic in the field? You were an installer?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was working in the field, managing large projects.
Okay.
Was about 10 years in when we started going our own, and we were broke. There's nothing else to do. It was less and less hours, and we had about $2 and said, let's do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's a little bit about me. Fast forward, right? We're still here, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's good stuff.
So, yeah, because if you think about 2009, that was right at the height of the recession.
Right after everything kind of went south. Well, that's probably why work had slowed down for you, was because of all of the slowdowns, the lending that had gotten tightened up in construction lending for sure, right?
So, Chris, when you started, did you start strictly as drywall, metal stud, or was it just commercial, or were you doing residential back when you started Extreme?
Yeah. So, my background is strictly commercial. When we started, like I said, there was no work. People I knew, right, in the industry. So PMs, superintendents, owners, all these things, they would all say, hey, Chris, once you start, we're going to have work for you. We're going to give you all this work, right?
Right.
And when it was time to start, there was no work to give.
Right.
These people didn't even have positions anymore.
Right.
The guy who was a PM is now the laborer or something.
Or laid off.
Yeah, or laid off. So there was no pool. So I'm calling all these people and saying, hey, I got the license finally. Are we ready? And they're like, Chris, I don't work there no more. I've been out of work for 4 months.
Right.
And so everyone I called, there was no opportunity.
So how did you? So during those first few years, then how'd you make it? What did you do?
Yeah. So going back to your question, the first question tied into this is Craigslist. Like we would go on Craigslist. We were broke. Go on Craigslist. We're buying and selling stuff just to survive. Anything. Washer, dryer, refrigerator. And I was posting ads to do
Fixing them and flipping them.
Yeah. And then I was trying to get drywall projects during this process, right? So, I would post an ad, hey, we'll build your drywall thing or whatever. And we started getting little bites. And our first project was an entertainment center. And then our second project was an entertainment center. They were metal stud framed entertainment centers. They were kind of on their way out at that time, but people were still building them.
Yeah.
And, it's like a $700 job, and it was a dream. When you're broke and like $700 is like $1 million.
Yep.
Oh, it's so funny. I go back to those days. Yeah, no joke. Okay, so from the little stuff, from 700, the first real project for you?
Yeah, what was the
came
breakthrough?
when?
I'd say a breakthrough was, you know, it was with a contractor, a local contractor, and
Still in business?
they're still in business.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, kudos to them, who's ever listening.
Yeah,
They're still in business. And I went to a networking event and I met the gentleman and I said, I didn't know who they were, you know, because I'm young in the industry. And I gave him a CD. I had made this CD. And the CD had basically like a PowerPoint of projects I've completed, but not on my own.
Exactly. We've all done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stuff you've built.
Shameless self-promotion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. It was
yeah.
for someone else, but I did them, right? And so I said, hey, my name is Chris Estrada. I'm the best drywall guy in town. Give me a shot, right? And he called me like 3 weeks later, and he's like, no one ever came up to me with the CD, you know? And so he gave us our shot. And, you know, he right off the bat, we started getting some decent jobs. And, you know, a couple of them, one was an aquatic center.
TI stuff?
No, they were like ground up
Oh.
stuff. One was an aquatic center, and if I'm right, it was about a $90,000 job.
Yeah. Great
and
job.
then it was cool, you know, wave looking parapet soffits and stuff. And then another one was a 3-story mental health facility, and so that was a cool one, you know. And I was probably like 300,000 too low, right? But it was like 180 grand, and I was on cloud 9 because now it's like, okay.
Oh, now you're making bank.
Well,
it's like,
well,
yeah.
No, you're in the big boy game
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, well, and because it's when you're running projects, you guys know this, and I learned this running in the field, is the smaller jobs are tighter. You can't make a mistake.
Correct.
Right.
Once you get to the larger project, you have a little more leeway. And so I knew that early on. So as soon as I could get my hands on something, you know, that was kind of, you know, had some meat to it, I knew I could run with this and build off of it and, you know, start buying some tools and different things and stuff like that.
Okay, so that's what I want to ask. So, because I've been through this, you're starting out. You got your little $700 entertainment centers. How did you get and acquire your vendors, your drywall? You know, how could you go out and buy the tools, enough tools for your men? How did the industry respond? How did those people respond to you trying to get those accounts with them?
It was challenging. You know, like I have a different background than a lot of people, so people looked at me differently. I had rough credit. I was just
Yeah.
I was rebuilding my
I'm telling
credit.
you, I've
know?
been there. I've had those
Yeah.
conversations.
I
Yeah.
mean, at that time I was 28, 29, and you know, so I mean, I'm begging for mercy, like from some of these vendors. Most of them wouldn't help me. You know, a few did, and they would give me little bits and little pieces, and I would just earn their respect. You know, if I said, "Hey, give this to me for 30 days, I'll be here," you know, on the first of the month, I was there. You
Right.
know,
You kept your promise.
I kept my word all the way through it, and if for some reason I couldn't, I was upfront about it. You know, hey, this happened. These guys are jacking me around. I'm gonna need 15 more days. You know, I was upfront. You know, and so little by little, people would trust us.
Yeah.
You know,
You built that street cred.
yeah, and it was still hard because we had, you know, I think the first big company vendor to give us credit was Hilti. And I tried to go back to some of the vendors that we were working with when I was working for a company, right? And I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna say it anyways, is I was blocked. So my old boss
Yeah.
basically told the vendor, hey, don't sell to Chris.
Yeah. He's now starting his own.
Yeah,
deal.
he's
It's
the
gonna be
competition.
Yeah.
He's the
Yeah.
competition, right?
That's happened to just about everyone that
Yeah.
goes out on their
Yeah,
own,
it's
right?
crazy. And so I was like, one company literally would not sell me. You know, it took years, right? And so it's okay though. But I think like, you know, when you do the right thing, like it'll fall into place.
Yeah,
And little by little it fell into place. And, you know, it was hard.
But it's when you sit back on this side now and look back at it, those were really good times, huh? I mean, when you really think about doing the stuff and you building it with your own hands and being in the middle of it, yeah, it was tough. But you look back on some of that stuff with fondness. You've got to.
Yeah, it's like, you know, so when you think about these things, it's a blessing. You know, it's like, man, this is amazing. You know, you're building something from nothing,
Mhm.
you know, and you start seeing it just like develop and grow and you're learning, right? you're getting beat up a little bit, you're getting smacked around a little bit. I'm getting some gray hairs, and and you get challenged all the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting challenged from GCs. I'm getting challenged from other drywall installer, drywall companies, from vendors. I'm getting challenged from people around me as I'm starting, saying, "Why are you doing this?"
Employees,
Everything, and construction. It looks cool now, right? People are trying to get people into the field, but my first 10, 15 years, it's like it's frowned upon. It was cool in the 80s. And the late 90s, early 2000s, like, who wants to do this, right? And so people were frowning upon, especially as we started the company. Close people, what are you doing? Why are you starting a company? Go do this, go do that. And I'm like, hey, this is what I know. This is what I'm gonna do, But we kept plugging away. We keep plugging away, and we get to look at the fruits of the labor.
Yeah. No joke.
Well said. What? When did you start your painting division or your painting company?
Yeah, so we started the painting company, the painting division, Extreme Painting, I would say about 4.5, 5 years ago now.
Okay.
It was something we were already doing it on a small level. We would get into some of these projects. We're a minority firm. So we would get into the airport or the hospitals, some of these city, municipality type projects, and we would paint small rooms.
Okay.
A $500 paint job, $800 paint job. We were doing them already. And, I just said, hey, let's just scale this. So we said, okay, we'll launch Extreme Painting as a DBA. And I went and bought 2 vans, logoed them up, put some wraps on them and stuff like that. Bought a couple pumps and just we went and got a big job. Probably shouldn't have. But that's how we learned. I jumped right in.
Yeah.
I said, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it. Let's just get all this over with right now. Learn it really, really fast, and run with it.
Now, have you seen? Well, full disclosure, me as Blue Wave, we've hired you numerous times for both, and can't say enough good things about you and your team. But did you find that a lot of the GCs followed suit too and gave you that chance when you asked?
Yeah. So they did. With smaller projects,
okay. Like earn the right, and then we'll keep.
Yeah, we'll give it to you, Chris. But you gotta come. You gotta show up. You gotta show up, and you gotta show out, and you gotta show off. Right? Make us look good.
Yeah.
And so little by little, and we made mistakes. We'd hire a foreman, and he'd screw it up. Or miss tints, or all kinds of things I learned. The wrong paints, and what paint is so much to it. People think it's so easy, but there's a lot to it. There's a lot of different types of coatings, industrial coatings, and sheens, and and so you can screw it up really quick.
So, I'm sure a lot of people in the audience would want to know. Then, well, hey, Chris, you're doing all the metal stud, drywall, things of that nature, and then you go into painting. Do you get asked to go into other things in the finished trade? Like, are people asking you and Extreme to now go do other things, like maybe suspended ceilings or other things? Are you being asked to do those things?
Yeah, I mean, we're constantly asked to do. I mean, they'll have us do electrical if they could.
Yeah, no joke.
Extreme electrical.
No, serious, because we have the manpower, and when you're on a project and the trades are not showing up, and we're there, and they're like, hey, they start asking, well, what can you actually do? Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? But we try to tie in what we're good at. I tell everyone, from walls to ceilings. So we'll frame it. We can do light demo. We'll do the light. They'll ask, can you demo a TI? Yeah. A decent sized TI. We won't do anything small anymore. We'll go in, and if it is a smaller project, it's better to add more scope.
Right.
So it builds up the value, right? Sure. And so say it's some light demo. That means demo all the walls, all the ceilings. Boom. Build the walls. Put the insulation. Tape, texture. Install the door frames. Paint it. Put some grid in. We'll do all that.
Typical Division 9.
All finishes.
Mm-hmm.
But our bread and butter is going to be the metal stud framing, drywall, and now the painting.
Got it. Now I know. I mean, I've gotten to know you, and you're a heck of a family man. And so when you and your wife first started this, what if you don't mind sharing, like, I know how much family and even faith means to you. How have you then brought your family into the business? Because like every time I've been with you it feels like, hey, it's the Estrada residents who are just relocated.
Yeah.
So, be humble and let us know a little bit about that.
You know what? Like, well, I'm super blessed. I am a Christian. I do cuss.
We're in construction,
Right. But like, I tell everyone, get your family involved, especially owners, because there becomes a void there if you don't.
Right.
Right. Even if they fall away from the business or from what you're doing, they're there. They see when they're involved, and so, right now my son is 20. He works for the company. He just went to part-time. He's got a shoe business now. So he's doing really well. So he's like,
Now, wait, a shoe business?
Yeah.
How did he get into that from doing drywall?
He didn't do drywall.
Oh, okay.
So he's watched his dad do all this hard work, right?
Yeah, just like my son, he's like, I don't think I want
Yeah,
to do that.
and I didn't make him, So he got in. He started buying and selling shoes, high end shoes, and he's been working for the company. And I told him, listen, when the income from the shoe business starts passing the income from the company, then you can start looking at these things. And so it has. And so
Very
he's
good.
pulling away, and I'll support him, right?
Because
But he still works for the company.
Yeah.
And my oldest daughter, she's 19. She goes to ASU. She's in a business program, the WP Carey business program, full time and full time at the office. So she does like receivables, payables, data entry, all that stuff with accounting. I have a 17-year-old daughter that's getting ready to go to Grand Canyon University. She works probably part-time, a few hours, a lot less than the other two. But even my 13-year-old daughter, whenever she has a school break or something, she's coming in the office and she's, filing, sending emails, stuff like that. And it's a bond, it creates this bond where you don't lose your family, because it's easy to lose the family. One gets married, they're off, and they're,
Right.
And it's the same thing with our church. We're all working at the church. So it keeps us close and it keeps us tight. I know they got my back.
Yeah.
Right. And so, because, you know how it is with employees, not all of them have your back. Some do. You want them to, but not all of them do, so it's cool.
So speaking of employees, Chris, how many employees are you up to now? Don't say 300.
We're over 130 team
Holy
members.
cow.
Yeah. We'll push up to 180 easily.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Right now our payroll is probably 140 a week.
It's insane.
Yeah. And it's
Well,
not,
people have
we're slow.
no idea.
Yeah.
People have no
We're
idea.
slow.
We're slow. We are. It's crazy. It's. I think this is the third year. It's been over $100,000 a week. It's. I love it. It's crazy. And it's not like, like Google.
Right.
But it's a large amount of. It's a large payroll, a weekly payroll to have to pay. But it's cool.
So how do you, because this was the thing for me, I got to the place, maybe it's just I was lazy, but I got to the place I didn't like the responsibility that came with knowing that I have to keep those 130 people in. I've got to cover their check this week. Does that weigh on you at any time, especially when you're thinking about when work starts slowing down a little bit, or it may be time for you to win another one? How does that affect you?
It doesn't.
Doesn't.
Nah. Honestly, we're learning. I'm growing. I make mistakes, but I think I was born to do this. Not necessarily construction.
But just business.
Yeah. Like I thrive in it. I love it. I learn it faster than anything else. And we're stewards, and I understand that, so I have a responsibility, and I tell the guys they all know me, even newer ones, there was ladies too. We have a responsibility, and I'm just doing my part, that's all.
Yep.
They do their part. I do my part.
Yep.
Their part is to work and, make those things happen in the field or in the office. My part is to make sure it all happens.
Right.
Torrey Contracting, your full-service Division 9 contractor. Torrey Contracting operates with a smaller, hands-on team. This cohesive structure results in superior workmanship and economical solutions. We deliver projects with unsurpassed commitment to quality and stewardship of budget. Torrey Contracting, small enough to listen, big enough to deliver.
I was thinking, if you don't mind, I'll share a story. So, Chris, I don't know, maybe it was a couple years ago, Chris and I were talking about work, and I think it was something. I don't know if you just moved into your new office, maybe not. Or remember, you finished up the upstairs, I think it was, and it was cool. He created a whole training center. You know, did it organic. He did it by himself, and I think you would ask me, hey, would you be just a guest speaker to his team? So I came down there. It was kind of cool. Chris asked me a bunch of formal questions, but then I think we kind of went off tangent on a bunch of just, you know, let's just talk like dudes. You know, and when I say dudes, there's women in there as well, but just be connected to his workforce or his team, as he was described, which is a great thing to call it a team. And one of the guys just recently, within the last few weeks, I re-met one of your guys, and I couldn't, did I remember him? No. But he's like, hey, I remember when you came to the office and talked, and I just want to thank you because that was really cool.
That's pretty cool stuff.
And I said, well, as a testament to Chris, I said, well, you should thank Chris and his wife, because had they not done that and introduced you to all these different things, and back to your stewardship, that's what this is all about. You know, like Chris and his wife gave a platform at their place of employment, so people like me or whomever is willing to go in and share experiences with a team member and a team environment, think of all the benefits that takes away. You learn good, bad, and indifferent, and then let them go away and make their own decisions. And so, you know, not to patronize you, Chris, but I think I think you were born for it too, because I watch how you've grown your business, and I typically don't hear bad things about you behind your back, which is a good thing, right? And so
I'm sure there's a lot being said.
No. Because remember, this is America's smallest big town.
Oh yeah, everybody knows everybody.
And so, you know, like especially you guys, I could sit here and go, all right, let's have a Division 9 talk
you start talking about people that we both know.
Well, we all know them too. But it's like, hold it, when you have that respect for one another, you know, I think back to another situation you and I had with it was nothing bad, but it was a situation where we had to. I had to rely on Chris for a favor. Was that storm that one time, and it was like, hey, you know, Chris, we got to. So we worked it out. We made a claim, and we figured it out to where those guys helped us get. We had a microburst that basically wiped out half of our job. Yeah. You know, but he manned up and just, you know, was like, yes, we did it right. We did it financially right, but more so, we didn't have to fight. We just realized, hey, we got to find a solution, and he stepped up and did it right away. So
yeah, I mean, it's like I grew up bad. Like I said, I grew up really bad. Like, that's the truth, you know. And if I can teach people to do things right, it's like, why go to the bad? When you know,
the good's so much better.
Yeah, the good's so much better. Like, I tell all these guys, like, why are you going to sell drugs and lose everything? We can just start a little business and keep it all. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, go get the knowledge and, you know, get the skill set and, you know, it's yours. You know, it's yours for the taking. Like, it doesn't make sense to do anything bad or so it's just, how can we do it right? You know, how can we become better and keep learning?
So now I want to switch and let the audience know that, can I tell everyone that you're going to be starting your own podcasting?
Yeah.
So with that, though, I want you to share and open up a little bit about yourself, because I think you and Robert are onto something. I know you both, you speak very well on your own personal platforms. You know, it's about your personal branding and kind of the holistic things you believe in. But again, Chris, for the audience's sake, do you mind telling everyone what's prompted? I know it's a little bit of family, faith, and other things, but what is your message? Like, what are you trying to get out there for people to share in your podcasting, and even like what you've been posting on LinkedIn a lot lately, where you're taking your selfies, driving down the road, and talking about those topics?
Which is a new thing for you, isn't it? You just kind of started the selfie thing.
This is bored.
So come on, tell.
I'm driving. My wife says it's dangerous. My kids say it's dangerous.
Oh yeah. I did
pretty
it for
sure
a while
it's
too,
dangerous.
until I had to stop.
All right,
yeah,
but again, let us all know, like, what's prompting that.
No, just one is awareness. Like, number one, like, if you don't get in front of their faces, no one's gonna know who you are.
Bingo.
Yeah, and so get in front of their faces, and I got a message. You know, it's about me making the changes in my life, and now I can teach others to do it. Right? Yeah. I made the changes in my life. I've learned a lot of business principles. We're still growing, my wife and myself. We're doing all kinds of things in the business world and in the ministry world. And it's like, how can we? The problem right now is you have two different worlds here: is business, entrepreneurship, and ministry. Okay. And one frowns on the other type thing. And, you know, and if you're in ministry, they say don't cuss. They get mad at me when I cuss, right? I don't say nasty words, but I cuss.
Yeah.
And so
sissy cussing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, but
Me,
it's like,
not so much. I'm a full blown cusser.
you are.
yeah, no, I'm not a full-blown customer. I used to be. How can we, integrate and show people just a better way? Like, it's about being a leader, learning those leadership principles, and then saying, okay, well, you want more? Here's the path.
Yeah.
Right. Here's the path to more. Here's how I did it. Here's how this guy did it. Here's how you can do it. What are you good at? What do you like to do? That's the whole thing. With the whole goal of the training center, the Extreme Learning Center, is eventually where we can teach people how to become an entrepreneur. And that doesn't mean like just start an LLC and say you're in business.
Because that's what a lot of people do.
Yeah. 9 out of 10, and they go and they start a podcast
And they make a mess.
and they do a social media site, and they're like, "Hey, I'm this big shot." Well, what do you really have, right?
Right.
And so we want to show them like, this is who we are. This is what we really have. And this is what it's really about, right?
Yeah.
And so if we can pave the way for not only younger people but older people that don't know any better, that's what it's about. It's like some people just don't have like the opportunity because of their environment.
Do you mind sharing? Because I haven't even seen this when you were talking about the Extreme Learning Center. Have you done anything recently that you're very proud of with what you did with your team members in the Learning Center?
I mean, not nothing
Well,
big.
but just like an example of how you're effectuating what you just told us.
No, I mean, so things I do, right? So I text the team probably twice a week, something like the stuff I'm posting, I'm doing it for my team.
Okay.
Like, I'm not doing it I'm like,
The notoriety.
well, it comes to me and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then let me teach, like, maybe a guy's going through this or struggling in that, and I'll send it to everyone. I think I got like 100 people on my text message list. So I'll send it to them. My team's on there, the leaders. And then I'll post it, right? All these things. So it's about, I'm looking for content to give back to my team. That's probably the biggest thing I'm doing. I can sit here and say me, but I'm trying to just bring it back. I'm bringing it back to the house, and then whoever's around gets the benefit from it. So I tell people, I did, I spoke at a church on Saturday. They were doing a marketplace ministry, and it's like a business thing, right? A business success meeting at a church. And I talked about drafting. It's a NASCAR term, right?
Right.
And basically drafting is you have say there's 3 cars, right? There's the one in the middle, and then the one in the end, right? And this is how they do a slingshot or something. Well, when they draft, though, there's an airstream that sucks them in. And the first car is taking the force. He's driving fast, and he's creating this airstream. And the second car is like, he doesn't waste as much gas and energy because he's in that force. Birds do it in a V, right? They're in the force. There's a V. So I talked about this, and I said, listen, if I'm up front taking the force, you should get behind me, right? And just draft with me. I'm going to show you. I'm going to pave the way. I'm going to show you what I know. It's going to be less force on you. You know what I mean? And so that's what I talked about. It's about if I have an opportunity to pave the way, or if you're paving the way and I'm learning from you in a certain sector, right? You've already took the blunt force. I'm not going to take that same pressure. You know what I mean? So if we can get behind each other and just coast it and learn, grow, become better.
Yeah, no, spot on.
Yeah, it's and I know that at least for me, I found that especially the LinkedIn social media stuff, if you try to talk about business only, it's crickets. Nobody follows, nobody comments, it just doesn't happen because it's a very, very, very small audience that is interested in what you do for a living. However, if you jump out there and you start being personal, you start putting yourself out there, now it puts more of a focus on an individual. It just pulls more people in, and you have the ability to influence more. And in turn, it feeds right back into making those people better, especially employees. I did the same thing. It's funny. I do something very similar, but with my family. So the stuff that I post in the mornings, I'll post a group text to my family.
I did that too.
Just something uplifting, and every once in a while I'll drop something weird in there, just to make sure they're listening.
Did you say something?
It'll be something real like once you get there you are.
Well, no, that's why I brought it up, because I know you've been doing it for quite a while.
Yeah.
And then I noticed you recently started doing it. I was like, oh, good, Chris.
Chris has been doing it for a while. Chris has been.
But I meant you've always been
he's done
doing
it
it.
more.
You've done a great job under the Extreme moniker.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is now, like with the recent videos where you're in the car and the kind of this self-reflection thing, I'm like, oh, now Chris has crossed that next milestone in.
It's getting in our faces, but we've been going to leadership events and stuff probably 12 years now,
Right.
my wife and myself. We go 2 times a year. They're Christian business leadership events. Recently I've got a mentor that I pay for. Is a big name. But so it's about growing. It's about becoming better and teaching the family, everyone around you. It's just whoever's around me, and I'm not going to brag, because there's people that do way better than me. But whoever's around me will learn and benefit from me. That's the bottom line, because I want to become better. There's no way I'm going to drag you down, JJ.
Yeah.
Right? There's no way. I'm just not that way. So you just, even if you don't learn anything from me, the fact that I'm not dragging you down and giving you a headache is a benefit. You know what I mean?
That's no joke.
Really?
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Well. I think we should better phrase that one.
Yeah, dragging you down. Yeah, I'm with you. So, contractor, real estate investor. You own your office that you're in.
Yeah.
Was that the first one?
I got 2 buildings.
Purchased?
2 buildings. Our first building is down the street from that one.
That's right. You told me
a smaller building.
Yeah.
And then we have this one. I actually want to look at another property today. It's 15,000 square feet. I'm gonna close on a quadplex. So I'm trying to do bigger things.
Good for you.
We'll see how it works out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Diversify a little bit. It's funny when I went down and saw him in his office for the first time. I didn't realize where he was at, and I pull up. We had done a job next door for the air conditioning people.
Mm-hmm.
And
Chaz.
His office used to be a City of Phoenix substation, some sub office or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that was very interesting. I had no idea.
You did work there or
I
something,
did
right?
one
Next door.
Next door.
Yeah.
With no, it was one of those things with no permit that got busted on. Yeah, it was interesting. Good story.
You're that guy.
No, I wasn't, but the guy I was working for was. Yeah.
All right, so let me challenge the two of you, so you guys can have true coffee talk.
Let's
now.
do it.
That is all right, Chris. What the industry you guys are in, Division 9?
Yeah.
What are you doing specific to the changes in Division 9 for Extreme? Like the challenges of either supply chain or prefab or whatever. Talk around those things. How you've been forced to change your.
And also throw in there. What are you seeing with material pricing and stuff that's happening in availability out there in the market?
Yeah. So I'll answer his question first. Your question. So metal's going down.
Yeah, big time.
We're seeing increases in drywall materials.
Drywall's going up, but metal's going down.
Yep.
Okay.
That's exactly what's happening. We're seeing delays on any kind of glass mat products. So anything with fiberglass.
Dense glass stuff.
Yeah. Yep. You can't get it.
Yeah.
It's very hard to get. So we're seeing those. So it's like when you think you won and you went over one hill, one hump, it's like there's another one.
So what are they saying that the reason for your dense glass and stuff? What are they telling you?
I don't know. It don't even matter.
Just supply,
but
and demand thing.
it's the material shortage.
Oh,
You got there's raw materials in there.
Yeah.
So it's everything can stem from the Texas freeze or something, and then COVID, and then government, and
There's always an excuse, right?
Well,
Chris?
I can take away this water and say there's no more water and charge you double if you want it.
Right.
If you're dumb enough to pay for it, you will.
Right.
And sometimes we're forced to have to pay for stuff.
Yeah.
What was your question, JJ?
Oh, I was just saying, on that.
What are you
like,
doing?
Because again, you
Yeah,
guys are in
you
the
know,
same business.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what are you being forced to do
Yeah.
differently as the owner to make up for these changes that are coming from the market? Not necessarily from us as the GCs, but the developers are demanding it from us. Then we come to you and go, Chris, like, hey, can you prefab this, or can you, instead of Den's glass, can you use whatever?
Yeah. So we don't do a ton of prefab right now. Although they're those what's the company that you guys use, that the machine?
FrameCAD.
Yeah, he just texted me yesterday. I think he wants to meet again. But so we do some small prefab, soffits, smaller things. We're not doing full walls,
Got it.
for skins yet. I seen one of your posts where they were prefabbing some soffits or something
Yep.
like that. Those guys, we do stuff like that if we can, because sometimes the steel and all these things are all just not right, and it's almost impossible to.
The structural steel.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like the job we did with you is it had beams in between every wall.
There's
it was
no
almost,
way, yeah.
It was almost impossible to do your job. We wanted to, but
Yeah.
it was you're waiting on this piece and waiting on that piece. It was just almost impossible. We would have to put the steel into the wall ourselves.
Right.
So we're doing some of that. We're staying ahead on orders, But I would say, like, with us is we're focusing on becoming a better company. Like, I'm not focusing so much on what the industry is doing. I'm focusing more on what we're doing
And doing it better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we're revamping our policies, we're retooling all of our forms. We redid our all of our databases on our estimating software. So we're kind of retooling and saying, okay, how can we become better? Because then we can become more efficient. So if I can become better and make less mistakes, it offsets and all these other things, right? If you're losing money on material and you're losing money on mistakes, you're screwed. So we got to start offsetting things with excellence. Our motto is taking excellence to the extreme, right? So it's about becoming better, and if we can teach our team to become better, right, in the office with all the office work, then I can teach them to become better people. Now we're winning.
Yeah, the building stuff's really the easiest thing that you do.
It's the easiest thing to do. We'll figure it out. Like, if you said, "Hey, Chris, I want you to build 32 panels," okay.
Yeah,
Well,
you'll figure that
Maybe
out.
I can't, squeeze out the studs off a roll former,
You can still
but I
buy
can
'em
still
from-
build the damn things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can
but
still- yeah.
but if you compare our ethics and our caliber of principles compared to some of these other guys, then you'll say, well, there's a big difference.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
There's a
Great point.
this is a long-term game, right? I don't need to take it all right now. So, and I have to teach our team to be better. Everything I teach, I tell them all the time, guys, the stuff you're going to learn here, take it home. I want you to become better at home. I want you to become a better husband, better father, a better friend. Because if they can do that at home, they're going to be better at work, right?
And have you seen the result?
I have. Yeah, especially lately. We made some changes. And I mean, just in the last 2 months, I'm seeing huge changes.
Really?
Yeah, massive changes. We went through and revamped all kinds of things really, really fast. And it's just like night and day. I mean, night and day.
Yeah, I think that journey alone is what can inspire a lot of other business owners like yourself.
It's hard. It's hard. Like my wife always says, "Oh, you don't look at yourself." It's hard to look at yourself.
Yeah.
Because
Right?
you don't like what you see.
You don't want like, "Oh, I'm perfect." You're a piece of crap.
Yeah.
But we have to look at ourselves, right, and fix those things.
Yeah. People hate change too.
I
mean, especially when you start trying to change systems and things.
It takes forever to do it too.
Hate it.
You get a new software, something, no one wants to learn it. Everyone complains about it, and so we started some things last year. We integrated the beginning of last year. We integrated iPads. Then we integrated the management software and the time tracking software, facial recognition. We did a lot of that stuff last year, and then now where I'm at is, okay, we're changing up things. We bettered our policies. We hired Caesar to help us
Caesar,
do our safety stuff, right? So we're revamping the safety, and so but it's hard. But one thing I've learned about this whole thing of change is you just have to do it. Like the only way, because I've been trying to do things for a few years, and it wasn't getting done. And I finally said, okay, I'm just gonna make a couple big moves. And I'm going to make everyone do it. And I'm going to explain to them why we're doing it. Then they're going to start seeing it. Once they see it, they feel it, right? And then they say, okay, this is real. Let's keep doing it. Then they start looking for the changes.
Yeah.
They start wanting to better. Oh, Chris, let's add this to the form. Chris, let's do this to our email. Chris, before we send this, let's do that. It starts getting the wheels turning.
Yeah.
And so like right now the team is like really firing on a lot.
Engaged.
Yeah, because they're thinking. We're thinking. It's not just me. You know what I mean? And so and so a lot of different the team members are just thinking like, how can we be better? Let's get this. Let's try this. Let's buy smaller this. Let's buy one of those. You know.
There comes a time when dreams become a reality, when you see your vision materialize into a true work of art. And the only way to get there is to choose a general contractor who shares that same vision and knows how to bring it to life. At Blue Wave, we aren't so big that we've forgotten where we've come from, and we aren't so small that we can't care for your projects regardless of their size. When your vision deserves safety, perfection, timeliness, and expertise in order to become a reality, trust Blue Wave to get it done right the first time.
Do you mind if you don't mind if it's secret and proprietary? We fully respect this, but is there anything based on this momentum that you have? You know, think about other people listening to this podcast that want to be inspired back to you being a steward. Is there anything you can share that you like, maybe a change that you know you're going to implement in the next few months that you don't mind sharing with the audience? You know, because if the answer is no, I respect that, Chris. But I'm just thinking, trying to, you know, you've done such a good job of describing this. It would be nice to just give someone a nugget, or even just go in the recent past and go, here's something that we did.
Yeah,
you know, you said
example of one of the changes.
So maybe take that iPad thing. What did that result? What happened?
Yeah.
Did you get better estimating? Did you get better? What was the end result?
Oh, so the iPad alone, you know, a lot of companies are going to it. Some companies still aren't. I mean, I know some large companies that don't have them.
Mm-hmm.
The iPad alone has helped us engage with our field like night and day. I can call, or my superintendent, my operations manager can call someone, a foreman on the, you know, in the field. They can be both looking at the same exact thing at the same exact time, you know, and communicate, right? It creates a level of communication. Everything's about communication, right? And so the more we can communicate with the field, with you guys, within ourselves first.
I think that's key.
Yeah, every company's got to communicate within themselves, and so the iPad was for us. It was a game changer. Some people were already doing it, right? For us, it was huge.
Okay,
you know, because it took us to the next level. Now we're competing, you know, with bigger companies. So what are they doing that we aren't doing? Okay, why are they doing it? You know, not just because they're doing it, but why are they doing it?
I think that's the key.
And not only that is, are you ready to do it?
Right.
Because we bought, I think probably 4 years ago, I paid for a software, never used it.
Yeah.
Thousands
we hear
of
that
dollars.
so often. Everybody's
But
done that.
everyone's been through that cycle of life.
Yeah, we weren't ready for it. We didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. Nobody wanted to do it. We just weren't ready for it. And this time around, I said, okay, I think we're ready for it, but let's force it on us.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and
But
now,
it has to start at the top, though, with the
yeah.
commitment with you.
Yeah, and am I willing to buy 30 iPads, pay AT&T whatever per month? Our cell bill is like thousands of dollars a month.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You know, it's ridiculous. You know, right?
But
it's what it is. What we need. It's what we need to do. But like that was a huge thing. You know, like I think a cool thing we did maybe 2 years ago as well is our tracking system for our tools and our materials. I think I showed you. We have a tracking. We track barcode scan everything. Anything that's in our office that goes in and out of the office is scanned, right? So I know if I give JJ 2 scaffolds, beep beep. JJ's got 2 scaffolds. JJ,
you better have them back.
You better have them back, right? I know where they're at. The value of the scaffold is in there. So now we know the value of the asset we have and where it's at. You know, so that is crucial. A lot of companies, big companies, do not do that.
No, and lose tools all the time.
They just write it off.
No, it's retarded, right?
How many scaffolds do you buy a year? Until you start something like that, you just go at the beginning.
Yeah.
You just buy a bunch of scaffolds, and you might have half of them
Yeah,
at the end.
I
of
know
the
a
year.
lot of companies that just like chuck stuff. They don't
Yeah.
care, and I care,
Yeah.
right? Because the reason why I care is because I want our team to care.
Yeah.
You know, if no one's gonna care, okay, we get rid of it. It leaves, whatever, disappears, the shrink factor, whatever. I care, so I'm teaching the guys to care, right? So that they're watching out for my best interest.
Yeah.
So when we do hire that thief, they're like, hey,
Because it's going to happen.
it happens a lot,
Yeah.
right? But it doesn't happen that much with us.
Good.
Like, God honest truth. But
Well, because the word's out on the street.
they know that we're tracking it.
Yeah.
Like, bottom line, they know like everything's barcoded. It's to a foreman. It's to a job site. And if it's to the foreman, there's no way he wants it stolen. It's not like it's a fight, like you need to pay me or these things.
Right.
But it's a principle. They know if I trusted them, they don't want to burn that trust. You know, so so they're gonna do what they need to do to protect that.
Yeah.
So have these changes in systems that you've done, have they allowed you to go into different markets now? Have you been invited to, we don't need to mention names here, but I know who you work for, and I've noticed that it seems like you're getting bigger and bigger jobs. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it has. Because we're prepared for it. We've prepared for it, you know.
And they see it. They know that you're ready for it.
Well, yeah. I mean, or if just, you know, right now we're working with bigger customers, and they demand a lot more, like a lot more. And so we're preparing for it all the time. And we act fast. We move fast. So we're getting better at that. So like say we got a large project with Clayco, right? They're huge. They came in here and just took over the whole state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally took over the whole state.
Great GC.
Right? And so they require certain things that we weren't doing for other large companies. And it's like, okay, and the team says, well, what do we do? Go get the stuff. Let's act fast. Let's move quick. You know, and then not only that is whatever they require, let's just add it right to our policy.
Got it.
Because I'm not going to do a one-off thing just for one
Do
customer.
it for everybody.
Yeah.
Raise the bar.
We raised the bar. We did it a long time ago when we started working at the airport. We added our umbrella, and we kept it. We raised the bar. You know, so all these things we say, okay, let's implement it. This is what they want. That means that their competitors don't want the same
Somebody
thing.
else is going.
They're gonna want. You know what I mean?
Is that kind of what you did with Caesar too?
Go ahead.
Is that with safety? Did you kind of take that same attitude?
Yeah. So we needed it. We have a safety manual.
Of course you did.
Like, we know to put on a harness, right?
Yeah.
But I said, well, look, we're running with the big boys. We need to act like the big boys. So we're gonna pay to step up our game with safety.
Yep.
We hired the third party safety rep, and we're paying him to help us build our policy, our safety policy from scratch. We have one that's really generic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's like, okay, how can we be better at this? You know, and one thing, guys, is like, I know what our competition's doing, and I don't care what they're doing.
Right.
I just want us to be better.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that's really where you really have to do it that way. You know, if you start worrying too much about others, you lose focus and lose sight of yourself, which is a huge thing. But what? Yeah, I was going to ask him your favorite question.
Sorry, I just whacked him and I hit his phone. And
That was my pacemaker.
I think
It's
my
pacemaker.
knuckles are broken.
What have we not asked you that you want to talk about, or that you would like to talk? You know, that you would like us to ask you. In other words, ask yourself that question.
Man, now my wife's gonna laugh about this. I'm gonna give you all the questions to ask me and make me look good.
Somebody's got to.
No, I don't know. Like, you know, it's business is challenging, right? Being successful.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, right. And being good at it is hard. And we're always going to have people that we're going to hire that are going to fail us. They're going to fail us. Some are going to fail us.
Well, first of all,
drastically.
I think you hit on that, and not to take away your thunder, they fail themselves first, and then they fail us second.
Yeah. And so, because usually they have some bad habit, you know,
Yep.
it's the little things that creep in, right?
Right.
So it's like, you know, to the viewers out there, it's don't be afraid of the unknown, right? Just do it. Just do it, right? Don't be afraid of the unknown, because the fear is going to be there.
Yeah.
It's always going to be there, but it's what we do with the fear. Do we use it to fuel us, right? And every level, it's a different type of fear, right? Because we're different. We're dealing with a different animal, right? You know, so at the level we're at right now, do we work with some small people? Yes, but we're also working with Clayco, with Skanska, you know, W.E. O'Neill, you know, some large companies, and it's a different level, right? The fear is there, but I say, okay, well, what do we have to do to, you know, to harness this fear? You know, so for people watching, it's like, just because you're afraid doesn't mean it's over, right? Just because we make a mistake doesn't mean it's over.
Well, again, and if I, without patronizing you, I think one thing that's refreshing about working with you is you always ask questions, almost like in an unfiltered manner, which is kind of refreshing. Because I remember when I first met Chris, like, JJ, what does this mean? And hey, you know, you never had a fear of asking the question. And I think that was refreshing.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to be that way.
Because all of us have that same fear, like you said.
Yeah.
Some of us just do a poor job of communicating it. And I think Chris does a wonderful job of that.
Yeah.
And
just
then,
put
like
it
he
out
said, if he does it, then his team sees it. And then they go, oh, well, if Chris isn't afraid to ask, well, then I shouldn't be either.
there. Exactly.
And I think if we did more of that in our industry, it'd probably be better than other than the fake it to make it that I think we see all the time. And then it gets us all in trouble.
Yeah,
Well,
so
you start,
frustrating.
in the building industry, they start building stuff wrong. How many times do you see it? I mean, and
All
we're seeing it.
the
We're seeing it at
time.
a high level now.
Yeah.
You know, I'm working with these GCs, and you know, some of their team members are really failing. It's like, man, you're building, you know, $100 million project, and you're struggling. You know, I don't want to see their negative bill. You know, but you know, it's about becoming better. You know, JJ, I think I told you, like, my education is 8th grade, right? I did get my GED.
But you have an MBA in life.
Yeah. You know, 8th grade. And it's like, when we started, you know, for years, people would call me Cholo, Vato. They would call me all these things. I'm like, come on, man. Maybe I was that, right? But like, leave me alone now, you know?
Right.
Let me do my thing, you know? And then as we've gotten better, you know, there's industries, I don't want to say anything, but the union has come after us, right?
Oh, sure.
You know, and it's, you know, we're stepping on their toes, or we're taking some of their territory, right? And it's a big territory. You know, I don't need to take anyone's territory.
No, it's a big world.
Yeah, you know, and so we have those things that happen, and people, you know, people get intimidated, you know, because of their lack of education. You know, so it goes back to us saying it, like, keep learning, keep growing. You know, what it is you want.
Change is growth, and if you're not growing, you're dying.
That's the truth.
Yeah. So
Another guy quote movie, Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, good.
Get busy living or get busy dying.
Man,
you
great
know,
movie. Great movie. Yeah. No, don't get us going on
movie quotes.
Oh, yeah, I could.
Okay, let's do another one then.
Okay.
I don't have one though.
Oh.
You guys do one.
So the one that I was just thinking about that jumped in my mind, and the movie went away that fast. Alec Baldwin, his famous sales speech. Oh man, Glenn Ross. Oh, if you've never, you've got to go back. You've got to Google Alec Baldwin.
Where's our Google
sales speech? Oh my goodness.
All right.
ABC, always be closing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great one. You'll have to do it later. I'll send it to you. It's worth it. Okay. Anything else out of you?
No, Chris, can't thank you enough
Oh,
for being
my
on,
goodness.
being as humble as you are.
Great discussion.
I dare say rags to riches story, you know, and the humility that you and your family have, and how you've given back to not only community, but our industry. And, you know, that's what the whole Mac and Blue podcast is about, is building Arizona.
Yep. We
just want to continue to grow our ecosystem and share stories and, you know, all these kind of cool things that's about our industry and how, and then bring it home to Arizona. So to have you on today as a guest was an honor, and just thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks much.
Yeah, it's an honor. You know, it's cool. Whoever's following me, follow me, like my stuff, right?
Yeah. How do people get in touch with you?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm mostly on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
That's, we have Extreme Drywall Concepts on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook.
But you're
on
mostly on
I'm
LinkedIn.
on LinkedIn.
They can find you on LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn. You just look me up, Chris Estrada, Extreme Drywall Concepts. And we're just going to keep, we're going to keep doing big things. You know, I'm going to keep growing. we're gonna open up a big learning center. I know it, where we can teach people how to do business, how to learn how to become better. We don't want to just give them a handout. We want to lift them up.
Sure.
Teach them to fish, not give them one.
Yep.
Yeah, we want to teach people to become more, and we can do it. With guys like you, someone like me, we can teach them. And you know what? We're all like, you say we're humble, but we're all kind of not humble, right? We can all be arrogant and cocky, but we know how to work at it and say, okay, let's tone it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's work at being humble, because if we don't, we will be humbled.
Yeah. Oh, that's definitely coming.
I think everyone has.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks for being
Yes,
on.
sir.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
You've been listening to the Mac and Blue Show, brought to you by Tory Contracting and Blue Wave General Contracting. Be sure to subscribe to the Mac and Blue podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Follow Robert Johnson and JJ Levensky on LinkedIn and Instagram. Tune in live every first and third Thursday at 3 p.m. as we continue to introduce you to the people building Arizona. Walt Disney said, "You can dream, create, design, and build the most wonderful place in the world, but it requires people to make the dream a reality." Until next time, make it a great day.